What's up, everybody? Welcome back to our 7th episode of the Sew Yeah Show. Before we get started, we're going to introduce ourselves. We are the Sew Yeah Brothers. My name is Brody.
I'm Tiago. I'm Zach.
And this is the Sew Yeah Show.
If you haven't already watched episode 6 of the Sew Yeah Show, go ahead and click the link right there to be able to watch it. As always, we have 4 different segments on this show. We have Will It Sew, Tips with T, Fabricated, and the Dad Challenge.
Now, last time on Will It Sew, we took the Bernina and put it through a trial with axes, hammers, machetes, a whole bunch of different things, and after all of that, it's still sewed. So this time, we thought we'd take it up a notch, and we are now introducing the John Deere edition of Will It Sew. Let's see it.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to this month's episode of Will It Sew. As you can see, we're sitting here in the bucket of a John Deere tractor, and let's face it, what's more American than 3 dudes sitting on a John Deere? This is Will It Sew John Deere edition. Let's get started.
So we're going to do 3 things today. We are going to hit this with the bucket. We're going to drop this from the bucket. And then we're going to run it over and see if it will sew. Essentially, what we're going to do now is we're going to use the bucket of the tractor to hit the sewing machine like it's a golf ball. Let's see what happens. It's just fine. We lost a
Lost a little bit of plastic.
Where's the pressure foot? That is essential. Got a little dirt in it, you know. It looks fine.
It's funny every time. It'll sew.
It didn't do any damage.
Right now we're currently looking for a presser foot that is somewhere between right there and right here. Joe found it.
Joe Mama.
Joe the Joe the camera guy, he found it. All right, we're back in action. So, it's obviously gonna sew. There's not any real super damage to it right now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it inside the bucket and we're gonna lift it up as high as it'll go. We're gonna drop it and see how it goes.
It survived the bullet before, and this is just gonna drop from the sky. It's fine. It'll make it, no problem. By the sound. Yeah, it's good. It's still okay. It'll make it.
What's next, boys?
Let's run it over.
Let's do it.
For this next round, we're going to run the machine over with the tractor and see if it will sew afterwards. I'm saying no, it's not going to.
It's working.
I'm saying yes.
Absolutely.
We'll see.
So it might look like doom and gloom right now, but I'm pretty sure this machine will sew. We just gotta take off some plastics and let's do that right now and see. I mean, that's all we can do. That's it. So what we got here, guys, this is a DeWalt drill that's been wired to give power. That way we can run these sewing machines in both forward and reverse. So I'm gonna just start attaching this up here to the motor.
You want to pull the trigger?
Dude, motor is still moving. Look at this.
Baby should.
Needle should go up and down. Oh yeah.
He lives. So now we're gonna put the needle back in it, make sure it goes into the needle hole, and start putting it back together. He's made it worse. How to make it worse? We just gotta get the needle over and it work. I think.
It's like when you take your car to a mechanic and you're like, what's going on my car? Like, yeah, you just gotta get the motor to, you know, like turn on.
Last time I did this, I did it with a sledgehammer, so a little bit easier.
They call me the sledgehammer.
Well, I'll just put that needle into my...
We're almost there.
You're
Yep.
okay.
Almost there.
It's one of your two
No,
steps.
I can't. I got a bad finger.
My finger hurts. Did I mention my finger hurts?
It
Sam got like a little sliver in his finger, and it's been like a week and a half now.
Oh, wait.
It's actually pretty bad.
For a wuss.
I can't get my finger in there. That belt has gone that little one.
There he goes again with the finger. You guys heard that, right? Keep my finger in
I'm
there.
gonna kick you so hard in your stomach.
So we're trying to pull this piece right here this direction and push this piece that direction, because the hole, the needle, if this is the needle hole, the needle's going like this. So we need to pull the back and forward so it gets on the right hole.
Okay, let's just do a little bit more TLC here. Of course. Is this a channel Will It Not Sew? No, this is Will It Sew. Yes. We don't need that. That's fine. That's not crucial. Well, I got good news, I got bad news.
Pressure feeder not gonna work.
Pressure feeder not gonna work, so this is a free motion machine now.
Oh yeah. You want a custom Bernina 1010 free motion machine? On sale. Bernina, made to create.
That's true, that is the slogan.
These machines are built to last.
Oh, you saw it. That was life. We've now gotten the needle to go up and down. And it's a little bit finicky here. It wants to live here, but realistically, let's hit it one more time and see what we can do.
Fix that.
Let's jump down here.
Can you fix it?
Absolutely not on this one. This one is in a million pieces, as you can tell. Clear winner on this one.
So guys, will it show after being smushed by a John Deere?
Nope. But we do have
A little souvenir right there.
right there
Boom.
for you. Let's get back to the shop.
So everyone, will it sew after being smacked with a bucket and dropped and run over and smashed with a 2,000-pound bucket?
Sadly, no, it won't. I mean, it's not our intent to break the machines. It's more so to show you what they can go
Exactly.
through.
The whole point is to show you. I mean, you've seen the different segments we've done on our shows of we've shot them, we've lit them on fire, we've, like Zach said earlier, we've smashed them with hammers and everything. There's two ways we found out that it won't sew. One of them is shooting 50 pounds of tannerite. And the other way that we found out is just don't smash it with a tractor. So last month, Yankum, you taught us about color theory using the color wheel. What do you have for us this month?
This month we're going to go back to school a little bit. I'm going to teach you the history of quilts. Let's get over there.
For sewing, primitive women used a primitive needle. But with the crinoline in the 18th century came the sewing machine.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Tips with T. Today we're going to go back to school and learn a little bit of history on quilts. So the very first thing is, what do we know about quilts way back in the day? We know that the first evidence we ever had of a quilt was actually in a small statue found in Egypt, where the king or the pharaoh was wearing some form of robe that looked to be quilted. From there, something that we know that is 100% certain is the Tristan quilt. The Tristan quilt dates all the way back to 1360 and was found in Sicily. It is currently on display in the VA Museum in London. And this is an actual piece of quilt. So there's no way that we can say it's not real. It's for sure the real deal. Well, and along with the history, there are some cool stories that go along with them. There's a really famous quilt. It's called the Raja quilt, which was made by 30 women who were convicted and were transported from England to Tasmania. There, the quilt was finished and was lost. And in 1989, it was rediscovered in Scotland. So quilts have been all around the globe, and from the very earliest existence of man, we know that quilts were used, or blankets, or maybe it would have been coats of skins. Something was used to keep us warm. But going on from there, we've had a couple key moments where quilting kind of became more and more popular. A very important era was the 19th century. It's when the fad, crazy quilts, began. Essentially what a crazy quilt is where you take all these different scraps, colors, and shapes and sew them into your quilt blocks to make your quilt. We call it today crumb quilting. What was so important about this is it became way more of an art form and less about the functionality of the project. Before and at the start of the Civil War, the Underground Railroad helped slaves get freedom. Whether that was moving different states or moving to other countries, they did all they could to help them gain their freedom. How does this have to do with quilting? We have to look at what made up the organization. And in reality, they were normal people like you and me. They were farmers, they were tailors, and even quilters. Quilters did something very interesting during this war. They made special quilts with special meanings. One of the most famous of these quilts was the log cabin. For anyone who doesn't know what a log cabin is, half of the block is done with light colors, the other half is done with darker colors, and the center block is a block that has some form of color in it, whether it be red, yellow, blue, you name it. The red and yellow squares were a symbol to let everyone know what was going on. Much like anything where you want to keep it a secret, you probably shouldn't write it down and mail it out to everyone. So we don't know what the actual meanings of every quilt block was, but what we do know is it helped people know if a home was safe or if it was safe to go into town. Quilts played a much larger role in the world than just a bedspread. One of the most influential reasons why quilting became so popular here in America is due to the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution brought two things: sewing machines and the ability to mass produce fabric, which, due to that, made fabric more and more affordable. Due to it becoming more affordable, this then changed the quilting industry to more of a craft than a necessity. Continuing down the American history of quilts, we end up in the 1940s and 50s, where feed sacks began to be printed on. These feed sacks would then be turned into quilts and many other things, but it was the birth of the feed sack quilt. Moving on from there, we end up into modern day quilting. Today, we have so many different genres of quilts, and some of them still relate back to the ones of historic times. For instance, we have Civil War prints and 30 prints. We even have feed sack prints still to this day. But on top of all that, we have new techniques and styles. For instance, we have paper piecing and English paper piecing, and we even have collage and art quilts. One thing that I love about this industry is that it's a continually evolving craft, and that's due to each and every one of you. as you make new decisions on how to piece blocks together or new ways to cut things, it is creating more and more opportunity for growth in this industry. I invite you guys to continue learning more about the history of quilts. And not only that, share the knowledge. Maybe you can help a loved one or a friend learn how to sew, or teach them just a little bit more about this industry. Thank you so much, guys, for watching and learning a little bit more about the history of quilts. Let me send this right back to my brothers.
Thank you so much, Diego, for showing us
You're welcome.
the history of how we got here today in the quilting world.
Absolutely.
Talking about another segment here, we had huge reviews from Zach's newest segment, Fabricated. What are we doing this month, Zach?
All right, this month we are going to be making some quilted polymer clay coasters. Really cool project. Let's get started.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Fabricated. Today we're going to be making some quilted polymer clay coasters. Let's get started. I got this idea from my wife. She likes to make polymer clay earrings, and I saw how versatile and medium it was, and I thought, you know what, we could probably do something quilt related. So I started doing a little research, and I found out that yes, there is an entire world of polymer clay quilting, which I was totally unaware of, so that was pretty cool. So I got the idea to do some quilt themed pieces, which today we're gonna be making some coasters. Let's dive right into the tools that we're gonna need. We're going to need, obviously, our polymer clay. We need a hard, non-porous surface to work the clay on. This is a glass cutting board, something to cut the clay with, something to roll the clay with, and then some wax paper. Those are the essentials. Some other things that I'm going to be using just for the sake of convenience are a 45-degree angle cutting template, a cookie cutter, and a pasta maker to work the clay. Now let's get into the real fun stuff. The first thing you need to do is take your clay and what's called condition it. You just work the clay until it gets soft enough to be molded. This clay typically comes kind of hard. Some of it might be kind of crumbly initially, but as you work it, it turns into, as you can see, just a really soft, supple medium. If your clay is really hard, like this here, you can just press it down flat and then break it off and smash it again. If you just look at like reviews on wherever it is you're getting your clay, you can see, okay, this is a harder clay, this is a softer clay. So different applications for different things. As you're doing this for this particular project, you don't have to worry about cross-contamination with the colors. This is all gonna be mixed together. So I'm gonna keep them separate for the moment, but I'm not worried if I get a little piece of one color in the other. Okay, and our red is good. So now that we have our clay conditioned, you wanna cut it up and just chop it into little fine pieces. There we go. I'm gonna take my blade and just like this, just chop it into little tiny pieces. Now that we have our clay chopped, I'm gonna take it all and mush it into a ball and start working it together. So I'm just gonna mix it up. I don't want just a big red chunk and a big blue chunk, so I'm gonna just kind of try and mix it as we go along. There we are. Gather up all the little pieces. There we go. And now I'm just gonna start working it. And my goal here is to get it all kind of blended, I guess you could say. Now that's like that. I'm gonna roll it out. There we go. Just like that. Okay, looking good. And once it's rolled, you're gonna start twisting it. And what the twisting is gonna do is it's actually going to make stripes in the clay. Once you get it twisted up a little bit, just kind of flatten it, or shorten it, I should say, and then smash it down flat. And this is gonna become our base for making our stripes. I'm gonna take my burnisher. You know, I'm actually going to lay down some wax paper because this part it's actually gonna get a lot of pressing. I don't want it to stick to my glass. And just roll it out evenly. This is the part I'm gonna get it rolled down to a little bit thinner, And then I'm going to run it through my pasta machine. But if you don't have one of these, then just keep rolling it out. You want to roll in the direction of the stripes that have formed. So from one end of the stripe to the other. All right, now that I've got my piece with my stripes on it, I'm going to feed it into my pasta machine. I'm going to feed it so the stripes go in this direction. You can use a rolling pin for this. I'm just doing this for the sake of convenience. Ooh, 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 ooh. And I'm gonna go ahead and fold this over because it did separate a little bit. And I'll just put the folded side back down into the pasta machine. Roll it through one more time. Now that I've got my clay rolled out, I'm going to lay it on my cutting board. And what I'm doing here is I'm going to go in the direction of the stripes, and I'm going to lay that down on the 45-degree angle mark that's on this cutting board. Now, if at this point, if you don't have a template to do this with, what you would do, like I said, lay it down to the 45 mark, and then you're going to start cutting on the horizontal marks, and you'd cut about every ½ inch. What I'm going to be doing though is I'm going to be taking this template and I'll lay this on it. That goes that direction. Again, I'm laying the 45-degree line, or the 45-degree mark in line with the stripes. And then this is marked every ½ an inch. So I'll just go every ½ inch and just cut through the clay. There we go. Go ahead, I'm going to take these edges off because they're kind of useless. Just set those off to the side. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to separate this clay from my cutting mat, or my cutting board, I should say. Keep going into the quilt terminology, oddly enough. Go. Okay, now for this part, you're definitely going to want your wax paper. I'll lay it on my wax paper, and I'm going to start laying down strips of this clay that I've cut. But when you do it, lay down your first strip. There we go. And then take your next strip and you're going to turn every other one of these pieces over. So I'm just going to flip this over and lay it down, and it's going to make a chevron pattern in the clay. So I'm just going to butt it up next to it, and you want to make sure it's touching all the way down the edge. Otherwise, you're going to run into problems later on when you go to move it. Now the next piece. Again, just flip it over every other one. And I'm not lining any particular color up here. I'm just flipping them over and sticking them together as they were. There we go. Got two there. Now, once you have this laid out, you're going to take another piece of wax paper, lay it on top, and just real gently get the air bubbles out of it or any creases. And then you're going to go ahead and roll this or burnish it together so that you take all those edges and squish them a little bit and stick them together. And you want to put a little force behind it, nothing crazy, but you do actually want to stick these pieces together. For the next step, let's get in real close here. You see there's these individual rows in the clay, the strips. These lines right here, you can see the differentiation between them. What you're gonna do is you want to cut perpendicular to all of those lines and use the same distance that you used the first time. So I used a ½ inch the first time. I'm gonna cut a ½ inch again. So my template here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay it down. I'm going to match the lines in the clay with these lines right here. So they're all going in the same direction. And then I'll go ahead and just cut it at a ½ inch intervals again. Okay. Now we'll go ahead and separate the clay from the cutting board. Be real careful in this step. If you don't get it burnished all the way in places, then when you start lifting it up, it'll actually separate on where in the areas where the previous cuts were. I think we're all right. Yeah. Oop, missed one. The next step here is really cool. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take your rows, and you can still see where kind of the individual squares are. And what you're gonna do is you're going to take your row. So this one would have been right here. So you can see like this piece went, this piece went right here. You can see the lines going through it. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna shift it over one square. And when I do that, it makes this really cool diamond pattern in it. I'm gonna just go through this whole thing and keep shifting every other one over and completing these diamonds. Once you have this all laid out, go ahead and burnish it or roll it together. That's really looking awesome. Now, like I said, we're making a coaster. For this, you could just use the top of a cup. I've got my little cookie cutter here. I'm going to find a spot I like on this. I'm just gonna cut that out just like that. And then I'll peel off the excess. People who work with clay have a scrap bin, just like all the people that work that sew. So all these pieces will not go to waste. They'll end up being mixed in to make new colors. The last step is to bake it. Check the instructions on your specific brand of clay. I'm gonna put mine in for 20 minutes at 250 degrees. The nice thing about the wax paper is you can transfer it directly onto the baking sheet and you don't have to remove the wax paper or anything. So this is gonna go in our little oven. There we go. I'm gonna leave that in there for 20 to 30 minutes until it gets hardened up. In the meantime, I do have one that I made a little earlier so you can see what a finished product would look like. So check that out right there. Isn't that awesome? This is a super simple project, super fun, and you can do it with pretty much anybody of any age. If you make any of the projects on this show, please tag us in it on social media. We would love to see what it is that you and your loved ones are making. Let's send it back over to the studio.
Thank you very much, Zach, for showing us how to do that. Another cool project on Fabricated. And now, guys, let's get to everyone's favorite part of the show, the Dad Challenge.
What's up, everybody? We're here at our local park to do our Dad Challenge. We've got a couple of things to throw in, and I decided to do it with a kindergarten theme. We're going to start by using a hand sewing machine. They're actually antiques. They'll also be using scissors that are
No poke.
no poke, so they'll be safe. Crayon to do their marking, and a ruler that they also have to be wearing all the time during the challenge as a bracelet. So they'll be cute while they're doing it. This is the course they're going to run. We have a large play area over here. They have to go to the top of the play area and slide down the slide between every straight line sew. So you can't sew it all at once, you gotta do it in between. You also cannot enter it on the stairs. You gotta enter it from one of the other entrances, and every entrance has to change each time.
Right.
So they're a little bit more difficult than each other. We're going to sew a quarter square block and use 4 different colors, and it's gotta be 10 inches when you're done. So let's get started.
I grew up on a playground. I know how to sew, so this is gonna be an easy one. Zach didn't have a childhood, so this is a new one for him.
Thanks for bringing that up. We'll see. I don't know. This is going to be an interesting one.
I think the Playscape's good. I'm a little more worried about the antique sewing machine than I am the Playscape, so.
1, 2, 3, go!
Zach is copying me. You all are copying me, cheaters.
Oh my. I don't think I got the better pair, like he was saying.
What's that for?
You gotta start at the table again. Start at the table again.
Set of stairs after that landing. Cannot go up that landing.
This is the third time this machine's gotten stuck.
Yeah.
Nine and a half.
Pretty good.
Well, I'm afraid, Brody, you're so far back on the.
And that's 11-inch square.
It's like Tiakum takes on the bell one more time.
I just have to say,
Well, that takes home.
for like
You can
the
say it in your. You can say
third
it
time in
your
a
own.
row, Tiakum got a machine that he's used multiple times, and none of us have used them. Tiakum's technician, his machine breaks, he just fixes it, and then we're sitting here like,
They have days on the planet, but I have experience. Very different. Another win, another win. I'll take up number 3.
Nice win, Tiakum. I will
you.
say I felt there was a little bit of an unfair advantage because we were in elementary school, which is kind of
the best
your
15
home
years of his
area.
life.
I just don't think it's coincidental that it's back-to-back-to-back wins here. That's 3 in a row for me. But if you guys want to see anything special on the Dad Challenge, go ahead and leave us a comment below. We'll make sure Dad sees it.
Also, if you'd like to see Brody battle any of your favorite sewists or quilters, please hit them up on their feed, Battle Brody.
Absolutely, guys, and as always, please make sure you share this video with your friends. We have every type of social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the other ones, and you can also just click the little arrow down below and share it directly via text message with one of your friends. That's it for this month, everyone. We will see you next month on The Sew Yeah Show.
See you,
Bye, everybody.